Hi, David Odell here. Today we're going to set up some Screed pins. This is how I set them up, and this is about the best way that I know how to do it. Seems to work out pretty well for me. Basically, it gives you a guide, so when you have minimal slope, you can stay right on the money and get everything to drain where you want it to. So here we'll start on the small side, and then we'll do a little bit on the bigger side, but right here we have the drain. This whole end, this half of the pool deck is draining towards me here. It's going to work its way down towards the front of the house. Most of the water is going to end up right in this 4-inch drain. It's got a 3-inch inlet drain cap, but it goes to a 4. You can see that transition fitting there, 4 to 3. So whatever doesn't hit here, we're still going to have slope going out. So let's say, for instance, this were to get clogged, it wouldn't be a major issue because it's still going to end up going that way. It's not going to ever go into the house, in other words. So what I'm going to do to get everything soaked to this drain, I'm going to set a line. I'm going to set up a string line off the top of this grate to that pool deck. So we've got a cantilever edge there, and that'll just drains right off the edge. It hits this lower area, works its way here. But I'm just going to tie this on here. Really hard to tie strings with gloves on. Oh, these gloves can be found through my website. I've got 3 different styles. These are pretty decent. They're all good. They all have their own purposes, but this one's pretty good for good grip. Now, since we've got it tied to the grate there, go down here. Now this whole edge right here of the existing pool deck is pretty much level across here, so it doesn't really matter where I put this. And I'm just going to kind of center it. I'm just going to try to go right here, right off the center between the house and the step. And now what I can do is I can take, a rod, but when I'm pouring out from the back, working this way, I'm going to be able to rod both sides of this valley. Basically, we're creating a valley here. So I'll drive a temporary stake here to hold the line, and then I'll drive a couple more stakes, and I'll mark those stakes with a permanent pen marker, because that way it's always there. You won't lose it. If you use a pencil, you'll lose it. So permanent pen we'll go with, and then we'll go ahead and tighten the fasteners, which holds the Screed board in the air. Okay, we just got a wood stake. We'll see if that goes in. I had an option. I could have went with a steel or a wood. I went with a wood because see all that pool pump equipment? Well, it's all coming this way. We've got the drain right here, the filter. We've got the jacuzzi on that side, so I think most of it's going on that side, but the wood's gonna save me from puncturing a potential water line or pool line. Now that I've held this here, I could mark that right there and then tie to it, but I'm close enough where I could just kind of eyeball it across here. Now if this stake was back further, then I would have had to pull the line, mark the stake, but I'm so close to it, I'll just do it this way. Now, I have a 12-foot aluminum 2x4 and I have a 10-foot. So my Screeds, I'll probably put my 12-footer, so I could go 12-foot spacing with the Screed pins to hold up that aluminum 2x4. And then everything else, my 10-footer is going to work a little bit on this, but not very much. It's mostly all custom cut lumber to fit through here to screen it off. So we just go from the drain, we'll just say 11 feet. And I got a 12-foot 2x4 Lumi. You could just let your lumen, if you're like, we'll do on this other side, the big side, we'll just move the aluminum screeds. We'll use that for our template to set all of our pins, so we won't even have to carry a measuring tape at that point. So we'll start right here. There's 11 foot. Drive that baby in there. And as I drive, I'm going to keep my hand on, one hand on the stake, because as you're going down, you can start to feel things that you're hitting. Like if it's a pipe or whatever it might be, you'll feel it, a little bounce in it. Hopefully before, you know, you puncture it. So we'll just drill down here nice and lightly. See how this has got an adjustment screw? This tightens it to the stake, whatever level you want it at. These particular types of fasteners are the most secure. I have two types. I've got this one, which can go on in this direction, and it's kind of spring loaded. So you push that over there. Now it's hooked, see? To release it, you just push it back, it comes off. But a lot of times when you've got a lot going on, people are dropping the screeds and, you know, the pump hose is hitting it, these things get knocked off. These ones are a little more secure. Now, the only drawback you'd think is, well, now I got to carry a tool, an adjustable wrench or something to mess with this nut. But if you have an extra one of these, they double as your wrench. Now I'm going to loosen it. Take that off. Take my permanent pin marker. And we'll go ahead and mark it right at that string line. Put this on right to that mark. Take my extra one, tighten her up. You could go a little high if you wanted to right now and then just tap your stake down, but this is fine. There, now it's nice and tight. And that's really all I need on this side yard is that one. Now, just for fun, I'm gonna go get a screed board. I'm gonna lay it on here, and I'm gonna put a level on it just to see what kind of slope we got. I think we're gonna probably be at about 1.5%. That would be ideal. All right, yeah. Now we got the same slope. That's about 1%. Now that's a 4-foot level, so we hold it up. 4 feet. We have 3/8 of an inch. Yep, 3/8. That's what we're going with. Well, let's see what we got here. We're cross slope to the valley, quite a bit. That's going to work out real good. Right here, look at that one. That's where you get all your slope, because this form has minimal slope this way. So that all your slope from the deck here is right there. So you've got about, in that pool deck, you have about 2 inches in 20 feet. That's what your overall is. 2 inches, 20 feet. It's tight. You can't freehand that. No way. So it's gonna take screed pins to get it right. All right, we're setting the screeds on this large area now. This is about 2,500 square feet right here. So what I've done, rather than breaking out the measuring tape, I'm just gonna use my actual Screed that I'm gonna be using. This is a 10 footer right here. My overhead is gonna be the 12 footer. So I need a pin approximately every 11 feet until I get to the other end, 10 feet off of that back form. And then when I go to my next bay, that'll complete this bay at approximately 10 feet wide. My next bay, because we're gonna wet screed off of the first one, we're not gonna go quite 10 from these pins. We're gonna go we'll probably go 9 feet. That way we'll have a 1 foot overlap for our wet screed on this edge that we created from our first overhead. So that's the idea, and we'll just do that every bay all the way out until we get to the end. And because we're gonna be hitting the house there at some point, it's not gonna matter if we're 5 feet, 4 feet, or 6 feet, because we can go ahead and we'll just have a further overlap on the wet screed. So that's the idea of working towards like a fixed vertical object. You just have a further overlap on your wet screed. That's how you kind of want to set screeds in that order. Anyway, that's about it, man. All I gotta do, because I got straight grade slope here. That's the way I graded this and set it up. We've got 5 inches of slope from that end to these planters. We've got 1 drain in the small, 2 drains over there, and a 3-inch that goes down into a 4. So everything hits these planters. The pool deck hits the planters. This entire slab hits these planters. So it's pretty crucial that these drains are functioning all the time in a heavy downpour, if we ever have one. It's kind of questionable at this point anyway. So that's about it, man. Let me just go down here, drive a pin every 10, and then I can either pull a chalk line or red chalk line, snap it on the stakes, which is most likely what I'll do. I'll get all my screed pins set up in a straight line, snap a chalk line. Now I have a mark on every one. Then I just fasten, these little items to the stake and set the overhead in it. We'll have the stake here, the 2x4 here, and then we'll just do it to it. Now, if you don't have a bunch of these, basically what you need, you don't have to get enough to do this whole job at once as far as your screed pins, but you need your vertical stakes into, on your lines for your overhead. You need all those in before the pour, but you don't necessarily have to have these on yet, but you do need them marked with a permanent pin marker. That way you can pull them off of the ones that the bays you completed, move these on over. So we could get by technically with this 2,500 square feet. We could get by with about 4 of these. We just have to move them to the stakes that we've already put in that have already been marked. But I mean, it just depends how many you got of these or how many you want to get. In this case, I've got quite a few different types. Like I showed you earlier, I have the spring-loaded, and then I have these. In this ground, you could just drive a wood stake and put a 16 duplex nail through, set your overhead on that too. Well, in this type of ground, you have options. But if you get into ground, or you got road basin compacted way high, you're gonna need steel. Anyway, let's do it. Thanks for watching, and that's how we set screeds. Good luck.